Good morning, everyone. It is 2026, Jill, and there's no more fitting way to begin the year than to create the space where our leadership lives. So, Jill and I want to begin the year with something really important. We want to apologize. I apologize. There were two Mondays, one Monday in December, December 29th, and last Monday, uh, the leadership huddle did not communicate that it was going to be off. And I know many of you showed up and we weren't here. Your community wasn't here. The community that Gio, myself, and our team promised to have there as a cradle for your thinking, your growth, and your expansion. So I'm not saying all of this because it's dramatic or anything like that, or it's a big production, but it's that leadership really lives in our promises and how I handle the little things say everything about leadership. So, Gio, I apologize to you. Maria, Coach Ingrid, the world, I apologize for not communicating when it really mattered. And we take responsibility for that. Anything you want to say about that, Gio?
What I want to add, Sorel, was that I got a phone call from Maria Sangria, and I got an email from Molly, and maybe a few other folks, where it was at the checking in of hey, are you guys all right, or are we going to have a week off or an episode off? And I thought, what a great leadership moment, right? I thought, what a great leadership moment, given that leadership, this is the leadership huddle, and leadership is a mountain without a top. It's not like you arrive in leadership, or leadership is only plugged in when you are in the boardroom, or when you are in the middle of a funding um, meeting, or with a big client. Actually, it's in the small moments, it's in the little moments. And I really saw, as they were checking in with us, I really saw my own lack of integrity in this game, you
Yeah.
know? And that was such a great leadership moment. And to see my lack of integrity, to see where I'm being casual. And And like you said, it's not a big production to be in communication, like it's not dramatic or a big production. It's just being in communication, right? So, we wanted to create this huddle, this leadership huddle, today's episode, as truly a leadership huddle. Like, this is what a leadership huddle looks like on the court, right? There are communications, broken promises. Any is a leadership opportunity. Any broken promise, whether it's with my daughter to go to the movies, or to put down the tree, right? Or whether it is to go to a big conference and a lot of money is on the line.
Yeah.
Any broken promise, any unfulfilled expectation, it's a leadership moment. And I think that what truly builds the character of the authentic leadership most of us want to become is by paying attention to this to the broken promises, to the unfulfilled expectations, and then be in communication about it. I think that a lot of us, or those of us who truly want to take on a big project for 2026, a big business, 5x, 10x our lives, I think a lot of us tend to um, belittle the small promises, make them small, then fulfill expectations. And then there, around the year, around March and April and May and June, somewhere There are so many small broken promises or unfulfilled expectations with key people in our lives that it erodes trust. That we no longer have trust with that person or with that team. And then then there is a big dramatic moment to restore integrity. There is a big production to restore processes and procedures or the integrity of one's word. But then we can't because it became so big. So anyway, Sorrel, thank you for listening that way. That's what I want to add so far for this
Yeah.
episode.
Thank you for creating that, Gio. And it brings us right to the moment where, as you and I were thinking about not having communicated, we said, gosh, this is a leadership moment, and it's fitting at the beginning of the year to bring our thinking about all of that and how we reacted and how we processed it to you inside of this conversation. And this conversation is aptly entitled, Before You Set Goals for 2026, Make Your Life the Sandbox for Your Leadership. And what's in that title for me, Gio, is what you're pointing to. That the life I'm living right now, like I get up and I realize I didn't brush my teeth last night. That's trivial, right? But I have an agreement with myself to keep myself clean, right? So my life is the sandbox for my leadership. Like every single moment, whether it's a promise to myself, a promise to you, a promise to another, a promise to my family, all of those little things give me an opportunity to actually use my life as a sandbox to say, where did my integrity go out? And what do I need to say right now? What do I need to say right now in this relationship to restore integrity and have my leadership expand? And in the process, have the leadership of other people expand. Because something magical happened to you, I think, when I come to you and restore my promise with you. It creates a space for you to expand and grow because you no longer have to hold in your head anything about me or anything about yourself or anything about our relationship. So that's the point of today's conversation, really, to use your life, all the little moments, as the sandbox for your leadership. And there's some key distinctions that we want to share with you out of our reflection that make a difference. Like the highest expression of one's leadership is revealed by what I pay attention to. So what I pay attention to slips by and I miss that moment to lead. And it's not like I'm standing in front of a room leading or standing in my company leading a group of people. No, it's in those moments where I'm sitting there with myself and I realize there's a relationship I didn't honor. There's that call I told my mother I'd make to her that I didn't make. And do I take in that moment responsibility and muster up whatever I need to muster up to take an action to restore trust and restore integrity? So how I handle the small things, unfortunately, is how I handle everything. So why not practice on the small things?
So two things to recap. So the first one is, I'm sorry, we apologize, right? And not that you probably didn't even need it, right? That we could have started this daily episode, this leadership huddle, and we could have brushed it off or make a joke of it, and it really would have been fine because we're friends. We really are friends, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big production. We're just getting together on Mondays to have a leadership huddle and share some ideas that make a difference, right? And it's nothing. It's a big deal, and that's almost our expectation. This is not a big deal. These are friends getting together. And so first, the first thing we want to say is, although it's not a big deal, we want to make it a big deal. And we want to truly not step over that among friends that we are, right? With Virtue and Coach Rashida and Molly and Maria Sangria and Kurt and everyone who signs in on Mondays. And we want to make it a big deal because as Sorel and I were huddling up, there was something on in the conversation that's very important among friends. And that is that the familiarity of one's relationship, it's easy that familiarity of a relationship erodes our leadership, erodes our moments of the highest expression of leadership. And it's easy to do that. It's easy to find oneself in that place with a friend where we stop practicing the very aspects that makes one a powerful leader in one's life. So we don't want our familiarity to erode our trust. So that's, and we're still friends, and it's not a big deal, and none of it is a big deal, but we wanted to make it an episode. And so the second aspect, actually the opportunity of the message of today's episode, which is, before you make goals for 2026, and we all make goals, and everyone in this call has goals, and most people in life make goals at the beginning of the year. Before we make those goals, let's look at our life, the way our life is, as our sandbox for our highest leadership expression. And that's really the opportunity of today's episode. That you look at your life, you look at your promises, the small promises you have, the big promises you have, you look at all the processes and procedures that you have in your business, the small ones and the big ones. You look at your life, your promises with your significant other, with your children, right? With your dog, like your dog, right? You look at your promises and make your promises, the small promises, the sandbox for your leadership, to practice restoring your own integrity in the small promises. It's a big deal. It really edifies one's character in such a wonderful way when we make our business to sweat the small stuff. But in the context of leadership, not in the context of where we normally say, don't sweat the small stuff. Not in that context. Yeah, don't stress, don't worry, don't cause yourself high levels of cortisol and don't sleep. And no, it's not that. But yes, sweat the small stuff, which is restore your integrity in the small promises. It edifies your character, it builds trust, and in my experience, it truly gives chance to the goals that we have at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, people talk about discipline, Joe, and what you're pointing to, I think, is the stuff of excellence. It's like if you really want to accomplish your goals for 2026, then begin practicing looking at the small stuff and sweating it over and over and over. And what that looks like, Gio, is that I make the small things that accumulate over and over, they become a huge thing. And that's both ways. If I don't sweat the small stuff. There's a whole bunch of promises, small, medium, large, that are left unaddressed, and they accumulate. And my life over time becomes this huge out of integrity. On the other side, if I'm sweating the small stuff day in and day out, keeping a promise here, keeping a promise there, over time, I get to know myself as someone who operates in life that way. I make small promises, I make medium ones, I make big ones, I tend to them, I keep them. I don't only do that in my relationships, but I do that in my work. So my goals for 2026 really have a chance of creating something really huge in life. I'm reminded of what Nelson Mandela said. He said, what counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made in the lives of others. And as you're speaking, Joe, I'm seeing that there is no chance of me or you making a big difference in life unless we're sweating the small stuff. And what that means is on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, putting the small blocks in place such that over the course of a year, over the course of a month or a week, there's something big that's built and it makes a real difference. And it's all in sweating the small stuff.
Yeah, so I want to keep talking because I love talking.
But it's an
Right?
opportunity to now hear what others may be thinking, because I imagine those of you who showed up 2 Mondays ago and 1 Monday ago and we weren't here have something to say, and also say something about what you see in the thinking that we're sharing with you. So we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Maria.
Oh, thanks. I'm looking to see how to raise my hand, and I just saw the mute button. So I want to say that I really do appreciate this conversation, and I forgive both of you. I was definitely concerned. Is like, why didn't they tell me? Did I get an email and didn't see it? I was just over here like wondering, and then I called each of you, which I'm glad I did, and I realized, wow, they're on their vacation. That's wonderful. And then I looked at my life and said, gee, how I act is like I'm on my lifetime vacation. And then listening to this conversation today, I just want both of you to know I forgive you, and I'm just curious about what can we all count on y'all for from now on.
What you can count on, Maria, is that we will be in communication about everything, whether it's small or big. And when we're not in communication, you can count on us to restore our word to you and the world, just the way we did today.
Great.
Yeah,
Ding,
you can
ding,
count on that.
ding, 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 ding. Bells are ringing all over the world. Thank you, thank you. And the universe thanks you. And I love you both dearly, and I always will.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you,
Thank you
Maria.
for
And
saying something
yeah,
You're welcome. Thank you.
and completing it for yourself. I think that there's an aspect around, and please go ahead and raise your hand. I'm going to say something, but I love to hear from as many of you that want to share, right? And however, I want to add something to what I'm present about Maria saying something, and it's so critical for 2026. One of those critical aspects before you make goals for 2026, which is to say something so that it leaves you complete about where a promise was broken or where there was an unfulfilled expectation. And so that's why I want to acknowledge Maria for saying something. And it's such a great example in this sandbox that our life is for leadership. Because what often happens, Sorrel, and for the rest of us, is that we don't say anything about it, right? We kind of brush it off and we put it under the carpet. But then the relationship is now eroded. And then we don't show up anymore in people's lives, and we don't show up we stop communicating, and we don't say anything to be complete with something. And because we certainly think that if we say something, it will make it worse. So I don't, some of us say, I don't like to be confrontational, so I don't want to say anything about it. But at the end of the week, or at the end of the month, or at the end of the year, we don't even have that relationship anymore. That relationship doesn't have a chance. We no longer talk to our brothers, our parents, our sisters, our children, our business partners, our godfather, whoever it is. Because I didn't want to say something. I didn't want to confront anybody. So I'd rather just move on. Or I'd rather not sweat the small stuff. And then relationship is no longer there. So we got to say something, obviously, with tactfulness and the way Maria Sangria does it. But we've got to say something, not being complete. And maybe I think, Sorrel, that's the next episode.
Yeah, next week, Dr. Ogando is going to be on, but certainly the week after, definitely because the communication you're pointing to, Gio, matters on both ends. When I break a promise, it matters that I come to you to say, I broke my promise with you, and restore trust there in that conversation without beating myself up. And hopefully the space you create and your listening, that doesn't make me wrong either. The whole idea about communicating is to create that space where I begin to know myself as someone who is no more, no less than the promises I make. And it is in that sandbox that you just talked about, where I'm sweating the small stuff and communicating that I broke a small promise. You're sweating the small stuff and communicating. We're being really generous without making each other wrong. And then we create the space where the rest of the world can model and practice that. So in the end, it's all about what I communicate and when I communicate. And usually my brain will say, it's too small to deal with now. Leave it alone. It'll take care of itself.
Awesome. Thank you, Sorrel. Any more comments?
Maria has her hand up.
Oh, Maria.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all of everything that y'all said. And I do have one more thing I want to add. And the highlight of this restoring the integrity is that you, Yogio, and you, Sorrel, have now an opportunity to restore this trust with yourself. And to me, that's like a highlight. And so I just wanted to add that in the mix. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Maria. Thank you. And the trust with myself is the foundation, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless I restore that with myself, then the rest is all performance. Like I'm restoring integrity with you so I can be on your good list. Yeah.
Really great, Maria.
Awesome stuff.
Coach Maria. That's really great, Maria. Thank you. Anyone else? Yabads? Comments? Awesome.
Good morning and welcome, Stan.
Great to see you, Stan.
Good morning. Good morning, family.
Awesome.
Happy New Year.
Listen, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this conversation for the Leadership Huddle on Monday mornings. And thank you for listening if you are on YouTube. And make sure you like and subscribe. I've been refusing to say that for so long. And I feel so part of the I don't want to be part of this world of like and subscribe, but make sure you subscribe. And be part of this community. And for the rest of us, have a phenomenal week. Happy New Year. A little late, but Happy New Year. Have a phenomenal 5x, 10x kind of year, that your expression of love is everywhere in your life, with everybody in your life. And abundance is part of your self-expression. And you have a great vacations this year. And, just there's only so many summers left. Let's make this year count. Let's make it count. And for now, make sure you live like a renegade. And to live like a renegade, you gotta love always. Love those you have an opinion about. Love those you disagree with. Love those that hurt you. Love those that didn't hurt you. Just love. Smile. Stretch your cheeks. It makes you sexy. It really helps with confidence. Just smile, laugh out loud. Eat more plant-based, get closer to the trees, hug the trees, eat the trees. Eat more plant-based, avoid at all costs processed food. And boy, is that difficult in the holidays, but avoid it. Run every day, move every day. Right after you wake up, go for a walk. Right after lunch, go for a walk. Right before dinner, go for a walk. Move every day. Give your jealousy away, give your resentment away, give your love away, give. And I don't know if it's last, but it's definitely not least. Check your assumptions. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check for context. Check for context. Don't be out of context and then destroy a relationship. Check for context. I love you. Have a great week.
And we are fortunate to have you in our lives. And we can't wait to see you. Until next Monday.
Thank you.